Leaf celery. Apium graveolens variant Seculinum aleph. This is what leaf celery seeds look like. Soil temperature about 27.5 degrees Celsius. I sow leaf celery seeds by broadcasting them evenly across the soil surface. After sowing leaf celery seeds, don't forget to water it. Please keep soil moist until seeds germinate, and don't let soil go to dry. For me, ideal temperature for leaf celery seeds germination, between 20 to 28 degrees Celsius. Success germination rate, depend on seeds quality, seed age, moisture, light and temperature. Leaf celery seeds, start to germinate. For me, leaf celery seeds usually germinate between 6 to 12 days. When propagate leaf celery using seeds, it is common to have some seeds fail to germinate. This is what leaf celery cotyledon look like. My soil pH, when I try to grow leaf celery, are about 7 pH. Leaf celery prefers soil pH in the range of 6.5 to 7.5 pH. Soil I use for growing leaf celery contain cocoa peat, red burn soil, micro, fine sand, old humus and charcoal. Leaf celery will grow in nearly any type of soil. But using fertile soil when growing leaf celery will produces stronger plant growth. You can use compost to boost your soil fertility. Container size I use to grow leaf celery, height 18 centimeters, width 25 centimeters. Leaf celery is biennial plants, but often grown as an annual. True leaf start to emerge. Biennial plants means that the plant only comes back for 2 gardening season. Just enough time to produce leaves, go to seed and develop a taproot. Other common name for leaf celery are Chinese celery, Nan Ling celery and Xiao Qinsai. This variety of celery cultivated in Asian countries for its edible stalks and leaves. The stems are thinner than those of Western celery and curved into round hollow stalks. Also, unlike with Western celery, the leaves are used as well as the stalks. It has lighter green than leaf celery Amsterdam, has thicker stem and leaf than leaf celery Amsterdam. Maturity leaf celery are about 60 days after germination. Suggestion for planting leaf celery are in spring from late February to June. Leaf celery is a bit finicky to get started. But after 2 to 3 weeks of growing, it's need little care. Important note, don't cover leaf celery seeds when sowing because they require light to germinate. Sometime leaf celery can be slow to sprout, taking up to 12 to 14 days. Once you get it going, you can keep harvesting leaf celery from the same small patch all season. Leaf celery is not frost tolerant, so only plant outdoors once all risk of frost has passed. Suggestion spacing for leaf celery growing in garden bed is 20 centimeters apart. Leaf celery can grow in full sun or in partial shade location. Soil temperature taken at 11 a.m. 27.2 degrees Celsius. I grow my leaf celery in partial shade location. Celery is very thirsty plant and must have continuous supply of water to thrive. In my opinion, leaf celery are fairly tolerant of drought. But please don't plant them in very dry, hot places and please water it whenever you see the soil is dry. For this growing season on average, my water usage are about 500 milliliters. I water my plant every morning every day. If raining I don't water my plant. Your water usage may be varies than mine and depending on your conditions, you may have to water as often as twice a day. Water usage depends on container size, container type, weather and climate you live in. Leaf celery is very suited to grow in a container. One of the benefits when growing your plant in the containers are mobility. You can move your plant in winter to extend the cropping season. Leaf celery need at least 6 hours of sun to thrive. Leaf celery is an aromatic plant with a delicious and versatile pronounced celery flavor. Leaf celery stalks are more concentrated with flavor than other parts of the plant. You can add cutting leaf celery to pretty much anything for a refreshing bite. For example, it can be added to soups, stew and salads. Also, leaf celery are a fantastic uses for garnishes. Leaf celery can be dry and dehydrated for future use. Dehydrated leaf celery will resulting in potent herb that lasts for years, depending how well you store it. To dry leaf celery, simply hang upside down in well-ventilated area or use dehydrator. Leaf celery is an insect repellent plant. Leaf celery repels the cabbage white butterfly, so is a good companion plant for all brassicas. Leaf celery also a good companion for leeks, onions, spinach, tomatoes and French beans. Flowers companion for leaf celery are cosmos, daisies and snapdragons. Leaf celery can be harvested using cut and come again plant method. Or you can cut off individual stalks or slice off the whole plant at just below the soil line to use it. Curry noodles with leaf celery as garnish. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.